Chris, why don't you let us know how you came into our industry and then found Family First Life?
Okay. Yeah. So ironically, back in 2010, 2011, I got my license. I was living in Connecticut at the time, and I started working with Sean Mike's old company. I was actually out of Sean's office. So I worked directly with him. So I knew him, and I was, I think, 19 at the time, and I did it for about a year and a half, and then I got out and I became a state trooper in Connecticut. So I left the life insurance industry to go pursue law enforcement. I was doing that for about 6-7 years, and long story short, it got to the point where I have a wife that doesn't work. I have 2 small kids. Something happened to me, they were going to be screwed. So it was time to find another career path for us, just for their sake. So at the time, I was making about $130,000 as a state trooper. So when I left, I had to find something that I could at least supplement that income with, because that's where my bills were. And I was just kind of living.
Sure.
And so I remember my life insurance days, and the money was decent. And so I thought I could kind of segue my way back in there. I actually didn't know that Sean started up Family First Life at that point, though. So I got out of law enforcement in October of 2020, and I moved down to the DFW area in Texas just because the economy was really good. And I got my life insurance license back. Started doing a little bit of research, came across Family First Life, and saw that Sean had started that. And I knew just from working with Sean that anything the guy touches, it just turns to gold. He was that way before too, and I just trusted him. So if he started it, I was already in. And so I started doing a little bit of digging, research, to see their office near. And I drove down there. Actually, a phone conversation with him first. I drove down to his office, met him. And then he was going over all the commission was, to put it into perspective, I was making 55% commission last time that I sold life insurance. And he told me I was going to onboard, over 100%. So my mind was blown at that point.
Right.
And so he told me about Family First Life and whatnot. And then a couple of days later, I finished my contract that same day, and then my numbers started coming in. I'm back to the office. Rob sent me up with a bunch of leads. He just brought them up on the CRM. I put my card info in, printed them out, and started dialing. And just kind of rest is history. I started recruiting right off the bat too, just because leading up to the point where I got contracted with the carriers with my numbers, I went to a lot of the trainings. And one thing everybody said that I listened to was, if there's one thing differently, they would have started recruiting earlier. So I figured that I would just start, right away. So I started recruiting at the same time that I started selling, and just trying to grow, And it was a journey. It wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be on the recruiting side, because I just didn't know. I found that I didn't really know enough to coach others, but I kind of, Rob helped me through that hurdle, and I just kept getting better. And my personal production was funding the recruiting and whatnot, and I was able to kind of grow I'm nowhere near the size that I want to be, but I'm at the point where I'm making way more than I was as a cop. I have more freedom. My schedule opens up. I can have lunch with my kids. I don't miss any of their events, and I'm not financially strapped anymore. I can go and I can take my wife out on a dinner date and do stuff with my kids. It's just cool. So this opportunity has really opened up, I guess you could say, life for me and my family. It kind of provided us an actual life.
Sure. Well, that's awesome, man. Wow. That's really cool to see how you kind of came back into the insurance industry for the exact reasons where you knew that there was decent money in it and you just need a little more freedom. And you really got both pretty quick, huh? Started making some great money. And that's really cool that you knew Sean Mike. When did you join in 2020? What time?
So I actually didn't start selling until I think it was January 1st, actually. Maybe like December 30th or January 1st, right around that time. The very beginning of 21.
Oh, wow. Okay. So just about 8-9 months now, huh?
8-9 months, yeah. The first, I moved here at the end of October, and then I would just I had a little bit of money saved up, and so I just lived off that for a couple months while I was looking around for things to do. And I had to get my life insurance license back and go through that whole process. So by the time I started selling it, now it was like January, so I've been doing it now since for about 9 months or so, give or take.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what was like coming back into the industry after a pretty long hiatus? Was it tough kind of hitting the phones, meeting people again? Was there a learning curve? What did that look like for you?
There was definitely a learning curve. I had to relearn some things. When I first started doing this, I guess I was 19, 20 years old, and it was a side gig for me at that point. So I had to relearn a lot of things. I had to learn how to fix the mistakes I was making previously and kind of overcome that. But I just bought it through the system. I just kept buying a bunch of leads and trial and error, and then I kept my activity high enough where I didn't suffer financially while I was figuring it out. The hardest thing for me was going from a structured schedule where somebody told me that you have to be to work. I work second shift, so my shift was 4 to midnight, and I just knew I could show up for work. I had to be there by 4 o'clock, and I could work as hard or as little as I wanted. My paycheck's going to be the same, and go home at night. I didn't have to worry about setting my own schedule, and I didn't have the ability to just not go for work or anything. So when I segued into this and it became my own business and I was my own boss and I could set my own schedule, I started finding it easier and easier to maybe not start dialing at 8, but maybe 8:30 or maybe 9 o'clock, or I'll dial until 10 and then I'm going to go do something else because I can. And
right.
You know what I mean? And so I kind of suffered a little bit from that for a few weeks until I realized that I couldn't do that anymore, and then I had to really treat this like an actual job as far as a schedule, because if you don't have a schedule, you really don't have anything. Is what I've realized. You have to have some dedicated time for it. So that was the biggest hurdle I'd say for me. And the phones, I kind of knew coming into it what to expect just because of my previous experience. So I understood that there was going to be some objections and I was going to have to learn how to overcome them. It was still tough to do, but I kind of knew that coming into it. The biggest hurdle for me was just understanding that I was going to have to create my own schedule and actually stick to it. Treat myself as the boss and the employee at the same time.
Sure. So once you got, how long would you say, and this is really cool talking to you because obviously you haven't been in it long now, but you've had some success right off the bat. How long would it be that you say that it took you to kind of overcome that learning curve to where you were consistently writing good numbers?
So after my first month or so, I think my first month I did just under 26,000, which I was really happy with. I wasn't making that money as a cop before,
sure.
And that was kind of where my buy-in happened, if you will. So I hear all the numbers that everybody was talking, what they were making, what you could make, and it's easy for you to hear somebody else say that they make that, but it's totally different for you to actually believe that you can make that same amount of money. Like that's somebody making that kind of money. That's for them. It's not for me. I'm just not built for it. You know what I mean? I think we all kind of have that in our head. And so after my first month, and honestly, God, I don't think I really worked that hard either. I made 26 grand. I probably netted about 19, 20. And so then I started thinking that this is actually possible for me too. And I really started going hard at that point. I was dedicated. I stuck to my schedule. I was very coachable. I didn't give Rob any pushback or anyone else that I thought they were putting up big numbers. I would listen to their advice and I would just implement it, because who am I to tell them otherwise if what they're doing isn't working? Because they were at the level that I wanted to be at. So I just listened to them and I trusted the system. And then after that first month, I was really bought in. And my second month, I did just under 30,000. And then since then, I've been doing between probably 48 and 60,000 a month consistently since about March. So that's awesome. It took that 1 month to really realize that I could do this. It's not just for other people. I can have that same lifestyle as well.
Sure. And funny enough, it sounds like a lot of your learning curve wasn't so much things unique to the insurance industry, but probably things just associated with being a business owner, as far as just giving yourself that self-discipline, like, hey, I need to be at work. I need to start dialing at 8. I need to run a full schedule. This is my job. Is that kind of what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I never ran a business before. This is my first time doing it. And then I came in, I had a W-2 employee, I had a recruiter. I helped out with the admin. So holding them accountable to a schedule as well and creating expectations for them and, what their responsibilities were going to be and just kind of handling that aspect of it, as well as being a producer. There was a pretty significant learning curve that I just wasn't really prepared for, that I had to try to overcome a lot of things at once. But yeah, no,
Sure.
just running the business is where I think the most of my struggle came from. Not so much hitting the phones and selling. I was fine with that.
Sure. What have you written year to date so far?
Right now, I'm at either 330 or 340.
Very good. So you're very, very much on your way to Hall of Fame. Gonna hit it without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh yeah, no, I'll hit Hall of Fame. My goal is 480. That was my goal since January. That's still my goal. I want to personal production side. I want 480,000 by the end of December, and I think
Sure.
that's very achievable.
So you started. So that's awesome. And so you're definitely going to hit Hall of Fame your first full year with Family First Life, and right off the bat, I mean, really just full year period because of where you got started. So you started building right away. What are you doing as a team right now?
So right now, I'm not where I want to be. Last month was my best month. We did 117,000.
Okay.
I wanted, when I first got in, I wanted at this point to be at like 330 to 350. I just wasn't prepared. I just wasn't prepared for how much effort it took recruiting and getting people trained and whatnot. So the last few months, I've been growing consistently, and I think that I finally at the point where I kind of started figuring out the whole recruiting game. So I think by the end of the year, I should be around between 220 and 250. Now that I sort of understand what I'm doing and how to train people and what to look for.
Sure.
I'm spending more time with agents. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, please elaborate more on that. So when you first started recruiting and getting into it, obviously you started right off the bat. I know you said already that you didn't understand the kind of work it would be. Talk to us about that. What things caught you off guard, and how have you adjusted?
Yeah, so I think that coming into this, you don't know what you don't know. So what I knew is that the key to long-term success and kind of a really great lifestyle is the passive income and the building side. I knew that. I knew that I needed to have a big team, and in order to do that, I had to recruit. I knew that. What I didn't know was the effort that was going to be required to convert a new recruit into a new writer, and how to keep them consistent, and how to go over lead strategy, and how to help new agents develop that, and how much time I should be spending with these new agents. I had to find where that fine line is between micromanaging and managing too little. And I had to figure out how to work with different agents based on their personality, not just what I wanted for them, but what they could achieve, and how I can effectively speak to this person might be differently than how I could effectively speak to somebody else. And then I had to learn how to understand what agents are actually serious about this, which ones aren't, which ones I'm going to invest money into, help them out with leads if I need to. I was burned a ton helping agents out with leads. So I had to learn that. So it's just all of these things that are inherent within building that I just wasn't aware of all came to fruition through doing the process. So I made a lot of mistakes and I had to overcome a lot, and I spent a lot of money doing it. But now I think I'm finally at the point where I understand what I'm doing, and I'm grateful that I made those mistakes, because now I don't have to make them again. And when I train new agents, like I have a few right now that really want to build, they're serious about it, and now I can take my mistakes that from what I did, and I can help them avoid it, and I can kind of structure them, put them in a position for success in doing what they're doing. They take my advice, and they take my advice. If they don't, then they're going to go through what I did. But I would say that all of those things kind of caught me by surprise, and I had to learn to adapt to it.
Sure. Well, you stuffed a lot of good info in there. So let me pick a few of those things to highlight. So Chris, when you are hiring someone, or someone says, yeah, I'm getting on. I know you made a comment there of seeing if someone's serious, seeing what they're going to give. How are you talking to a new agent, someone you just hired, to try to figure out how much you should invest, like right off the bat? Talk to us about your mindset on that.
Yeah. So when I first started doing it, I get excited about every agent that I recruited. And a lot of the pushback comes from buying leads. So I was almost too willing to buy everybody leads, and I started doing that. But I wasn't asking the right questions. So what I look for now is if they're truly in a position where they need financial help, I'm no longer just covering all of their lead costs. I'll split it with them if I have to. They need some kind of skin in the game. Or they have to be on the agency call every Monday for 2 weeks in a row. They have to get enrolled in boot camp and complete it within a week. They have to reach out to me after they completed boot camp, and we discuss that. Get some questions and whatnot answered from what they went over in boot camp. So they have to actually show me some effort beforehand, and then if they show me that effort and they have some kind of skin in the game, and they're showing me that they're serious, not just saying it, is what I look for now.
Sure. So you're looking for actions, on top of you. You're looking for someone who gets in, who's not making excuses, and who is moving.
Yeah, someone that's moving. They're doing what I'm telling them to do. They're showing me some effort, and they have a good attitude. That's another one too. Anyone that's negative and just really any negativity at all, it's a huge red flag, and I bypass it and I move on to the next agent because it's not worth wasting your time on that. Because I just don't think you can fix that.
Yeah, that's a pro tip for sure. So you're looking for people who are moving. You're looking for people with positive, forward-thinking, good attitudes. And then something I want to have you elaborate on is you told us you didn't understand how much work it was going to be with a lot of these new agents.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the work you're doing with your new agents. What makes it so much work bringing in someone new into this industry?
So I would say that I don't want to make it sound like it's not too much work. It's just I think I was almost putting in too much work in the beginning, but I was spending too much time on every single agent rather than the right amount of time on agents that were serious about it. I think is a better way to interpret what I was trying to get across. So what I'm doing now, these agents that I think are serious, they've proven to me that they're actually serious about it. I'm just spending more and more time with them, and we're going over things that are important, like the absolute essentials that they need to know just to get writing. So whereas when I first started, I would try to throw everything at them. So these are the leads that you need. This is the phone script. This is the in-home presentation. These are the products. This is the product knowledge. This is how you set your schedule. So I was trying to go over everything with every agent right at the beginning. And now what I do is I find the agents that are serious, and I only want to talk to them about what they need to know to get started right now. So I'm not going over product knowledge anymore. I'm not going over, literally the only thing that I go over with them right now is, I'm just parking, is the leads. So lead strategy. So if it's going to be somebody's first lead purchase, all right, we'll do, let's say $500 on a game time campaign and $500 on a combination of internet leads and new internet leads. And that's going to get you going. And then just focus on phone script. I'm going to send you the phone script that I use and a couple of videos to people that are doing good or that are good on the phone that has trainings up on YouTube. I send them that and I say, get good at this. Listen to the YouTube videos that I'm sending you, and practice the phone script, and then start dialing. Set the appointments 1 to 2 days out, no longer than that if you can avoid it. And then that's it. They'll ask me, what about when I get it home, and what about the products? I don't even know what I'm selling, and I just tell them it doesn't matter right now. You don't have to worry about that. The only thing you have to worry about is buying leads, getting on the phone, and setting your appointments. That's the hardest part. In-home is simple. After you get your appointment set, call me back, and then we'll go over everything else that you need to know. But right now, just focus on that. Because if you can't set appointments, nothing else matters. So let's overcome that first. And then once they overcome that and they start setting appointments, and I have another phone call, and then we just go over like in-home. They tell me what appointment they have, age, what kind of lead it is, and we just kind of go from there. And this is what I think you should show them, and let me hear your pitch. And I have a couple of YouTube videos that I'll send them of training that I've done with what I believe is a pretty effective in-home. But we're not getting to that until after they set their appointments.
Sure. So two things you gave right there, and you said it real quick, but I want to highlight it for everyone on here who's thinking about building, because I've heard it so many times. Is when we first talked about it, you're like, oh, it was a lot of work. And then I asked you what made it so much work, and you clarified. You said, well, it's not that it's so much work, is that when you're spending time with the wrong people, it feels overwhelming and like a lot. So I really want to highlight what you said there, because finding who those right people are and spending time with them is critical. Because I think we all know, and I know, Chris, you would attest to this with your experience this year, you can spend hours and hours and hours on the phone with the wrong people in this industry, people that are never going to buy leads, people that are never going to spend all day on the phone, and you can spend 5 hours with those people. So it's critical you find the right people. But then that switch you did with your agents, where you say, hey, instead of me throwing all this stuff at you, you're really walking people through it step by step now. You're having them hyper focus on one thing at a time, figure that out, and then you're guiding the next one. Is that right?
That's exactly what I do now.
Man, that's really sharp. And have you seen, what has your experience been since you've made these changes with your agents and as your agency? Are you seeing, people hitting the field way quicker, people having bigger results? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so agents are hitting the field quicker. They're setting the appointments faster. They're having better success in the field, and they're writing bigger numbers. So just to give you an example, there's a few people on my team right now. They've been on my team for 3-4 months, and they really weren't doing it. They top a deal here and there, but I wasn't spending any time with them at all, because I was so focused on spending time with everybody else that was coming in that I just didn't have the time to spend the appropriate amount of time with the few people that were actually doing something. So when I kind of changed my whole mindset, I started spending more time with those agents and coaching them on the areas that they needed help with. And then when I started doing that, the agents that where I have 3 or 4 right now, that they pop a deal here and there, maybe do 400 one week, maybe 2,000 another week, and then maybe not right the third week, and now they're consistently doing between $5,000 and $10,000 a week, each one of them, that I've been able to spend more time with. And the new agents that I'm getting right now, they're immediately getting in the field, and they're having success right off the bat, which is keeping them motivated, and they're keeping them intrigued, and keeping their willpower high enough to continue on and push forward and kind of go through that battle.
Sure. Well, that's huge, man. Well, Chris, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you got stuff going on here. We're talking about 25 minutes. Two last things. One, you already told us. So your goal for the end of the year personally is just shy of 500. You want to do 480, and then as an agency, you want to do 250 by the end of the year. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure you'll hit it. And then, Chris, last thing I'll ask for is, we're going to have a lot of new agents, maybe not even hit the field yet, see this. We're going to have people who are top producers and are building an agency. We're going to see them. And then people who are like in the middle, people who are just getting started, and maybe they've got, a month, maybe they're going through that first thing you did where they're learning how to be, a business owner. What is something that you would kind of give that you think might be a blessing to everyone, all those people, when it comes to our industry?
I would say just stop thinking so much and buy into the system. Look at the people that are in a position that you want to be, and then just mimic what they do and just don't question it. There's been periods of time where I've questioned the advice that I was getting, and that did nothing but hurt me. The system works. This is essentially a franchise. The blueprint's there. You just have to buy into it and do it. If you're not fully bought in, it's going to be really difficult for you. This process works. There's too many people having success for the process that they're telling you to follow not to work.